Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to Zentropy Aviation, and tonight I am presenting the final phase of flight on a PMDG Boeing 737-700 in prepared version 5.3. Naturally, these concepts would also apply to operating it in other simulators, such as Microsoft Flight Simulators. So I wanted to jump in here quickly before air traffic control is going to give us instructions for descent. We are currently in cruise on a flight from Salt Lake City into the Denver airport. I have chosen Denver because it presents some challenging approaches with terrain, especially coming from Salt Lake City's direction, and this will give us an opportunity to see some of that in action. If you will take a look at the map, we are due to begin descent in a little bit less than 80 nautical miles. We are cruising right now at 0.76 Mach number, right? We are flying in a heading of 85 degrees, which is on Autopilot in both VNAV and LNAV enabled. And according to our preliminary flight planning, we are due to be arriving and landing on runway 34 left, which has an elevation of 5,484 feet above sea level. Runway 34 left has an ILS approach. You have, if you will hit the init ref button, you will see all of the data that you need to be able to program this. So our frequency for this approach, unless ATC of course directs us to another approach, another runway, which is entirely possible, we will adjust accordingly. We're going to go ahead and dial in 111.9 on both Nav1 on both sides of the console. So 111.9. We're going to go ahead and transfer that from standby to active. So our active on the left side is 111.9. We're going to do the same for this other side. Okay, so both of our active frequencies for nav are reading 111.9, and the approach course is 353. So we're going to go ahead and dial that into both sides now. 353. We are going to be landing at flaps 30. That's really all we need. As of right now, our VREF on that is going to be 126 knots. So you generally add 5 knots on top of that for wind and such things. So we will be really shooting for approaching at 131 knots. That's for our reference. We're going to go ahead and copy that into here. Alright, and we are all set. Now, one more thing that makes sense to do is, since this is going to be runway 34 left, let's also take a look at the airport map. this is our diagram of the KDEM in our EFB. So a few things we will be doing, and I will explain how this works. If we were to not listen to ATC whatsoever, and if we were to just rely on the aircraft's calculated VNAV descent, all we need to do is really set an altitude lower than our cruise altitude, which is 390, and the aircraft is going to automatically begin descent according to its descent profile, and all of the speeds that we have published here in the legs page. So 259 knots, and it's going to follow all of the restrictions. As you see, we have to be above flight 270 at this point, which is not going to be a problem for us obviously right now. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to humor ATC and not really follow the plan that we have programmed in here. We're going to go and rely on ATC and their direction to get us to that runway. That is the beauty of Prepared that I enjoy a lot versus Microsoft Flight Simulator, is the ATC here is very capable of vectoring you, and you're going to see that in action right now. Hopefully one day Microsoft Flight Simulator will get enough improvements in its ATC operations so that it can reliably vector you to your assigned approach course. But until then, you can follow that flight plan that you have programmed in Microsoft Flight Simulator and just use your VNAV profile. Simply set a lower altitude here, and the aircraft will begin the descent according to all of the data that is in here. However, we're going to use our best judgment and still follow the restrictions, but in terms of speeds, we're going to be in control of all of that. Right now, because we're approaching the top of descent, our FMC message here is telling us to reset MCP altitude. That is a reminder to go ahead and set the MCP altitude lower so that the aircraft can begin the descent. And we have now received directions from ATC to go ahead and descend to flight level 330. So we are doing that right now. And because we caught that in time and didn't really go past our top of descent, the aircraft has begun, as you see, its descent according to that VNAV profile. Now, if we waited and ATC gave us the directions a lot later, where we would have missed that top of descent entirely, we would need to use level change or other methods to get us down. Let's see, so that's not an issue. We are going to go ahead and turn on seat belt signs, tune to Denver Center. Great, so as of right now, we're just following everything that was programmed in here. One thing we're going to do is we're going to gradually start configuring the aircraft for landing. So the first thing we want to do is set auto brakes. We're going to set them to 3, which is a pretty good setting to use. So 1, 2, 3. Auto brakes set to 3. So we are at flight 350 right now or so. 259 knots indicated airspeed, which is fine. If I were descending on my own, I could descend with this Mach number in mind, up until you reach about 290 knots, and then I would just descend at 290 knots or so up until about 10,000 feet. Start slowing down a little bit before that, and in order to maintain the descent angle that is sufficient, sometimes you need to utilize the speed brakes right here. Okay, so we have directions to go down to flight 270, which we are now setting in our MCP is flight level 270. We are, you can see, according to the VNAV profile, we are 1,000, we're 1,200 feet above where we really should be. So we're going to go ahead and use our level change. Getting bounced to a couple of different frequencies. So this level change mode is going to descend us at the speed that's specified here. We're going to increase that so that we are increasing our rate of descent. Um, 270 knots is fine for now. We're monitoring, we're descending at about 3,000 feet per minute. And you can see on the profile, we are starting to hopefully catch up with where we need to be. And we are. In terms of pressurization, we do have everything set to automatic, and the landing altitude is set to 5,500. So our packs are on, everything is being regulated here. Aircraft can descend at this rate in terms of commercial airliners and still be comfortable for passengers. Everything is smooth, Autopilot is in control. So we're at about okay, let's go ahead and increase our speed to 290 knots. And we have traffic in sight. How are we doing on our profile? We're right there, 400 feet above where we should be. We are doing fine. Just going to await further permission to go down. We're gonna start coming into some terrain. As you see, we have some clouds underneath us. Okay, so we're being vectored to heading 135 and ILS 8. So we're gonna go ahead and dial 135. And heading select, we're going to begin that turn, and now we're going to go ahead and go into the approach page, into arrival of KDEN, and we're going to change it to ILS 8. Execute, right, go to legs. We are doing all right. We're going to get rid of this discontinuity here by moving lips up like this. Execute again. And we are, as you see, this is our new path. It says descent path is unachievable. That's okay because we're not following it anyway. We are following ATC directions. So we are all right. We're being given permission to descend to 15,000 feet. Which we're going to go ahead and do via level change mode. Turn left to 105. Alright, and now we need to re-enter the frequencies and the course for our ILS 8 approach. 108.90 is our new frequency. So 108.90 here. And 108.90 here. Turn left 075. We are changing this to 075. And we just need to dial in the course. The course is 83. So set the course to 83 on both sides. So we are pretty good to go on this end. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the terrain radar so that we could see what is happening around us. Turn right heading 100. We're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, heading 130. We are turning. Let's change the range here. Alright. So that's what things are looking like right now. We are at flight level 210. At about, okay, we have visibility at 290 knots. At some point we're going to need to start slowing down. So while we are descending right now, I'm not going to worry about it, but at 15,000 feet I'm going to go ahead and slow us down to 245 knots so that we can start deploying the flaps. Turn left to 105. So the flap speed for 1, 2, and 5 is 250. So I like to set it to 245 knots so that we can begin deploying them. Okay, turn right to 145. Alright. Now we're about to pass flight 180 and get back down to barometric pressure. We are setting it down so it's 29.65. So that is set. Alright, so take a look at the map here, the flight plan. You see this dotted line up here. That is our runway. So we can see the orientation of the runway and our intercept. Contact Denver approach. Okay. Lovely. Let's go ahead and start slowing down to 245 knots. So that we can begin deploying flaps. Okay, we can descend and maintain 7,000. Remember, we have a restriction for no more than 250 knots below 10,000 feet. Turn right to 175. Level change. Okay, so you can see what's happening right now. They're guiding us to be perpendicular to the runway. Let's go ahead and deploy flaps 5. Turn left 115. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and deploy speed brakes so that we can descend quicker. See if we can catch this VOR LOC is going to enable us to intercept the localizer. We need to continue slowing down to about 180 knots at this point. Let's go ahead and turn on landing lights, runway turn off, and taxi lights. Okay, so we can see, and I'm deploying flaps 10 now. We're a little bit above the glide slope right now. You could see that the diamond is here. Let's see if we can intercept it and get down. So our VREF is 126, so we need to be at 131. We are at 180 now. Let's go ahead and deploy landing gear. You can see the heading select is here, but we have VOR LOC armed. So the first thing we need to do is we need to capture that localizer. That's the first thing that needs to happen. As you can see, we're now getting below glide slope, so that's good. We're going to be able to catch that that beam. And as we intercept this dotted line, this LOC should illuminate green. Let's go ahead and start slowing down some more to about 160 knots. Deploy flaps 15. Alright. Let's slow down to 150. We have captured VOR LOC, so now this is the time to activate the approach mode on Autopilot. It is going to arm that mode, and as you see, GS is in white. As soon as the diamond gets to the center here, it should capture the glide slope, and we will begin our descent towards the runway. Okay, we're being cleared to land. Let's go ahead and deploy flaps 25 at this point. Slow down to 140 knots. Our radio altimeter is we're at 1600 feet. Our minimums are going to be at 200 feet radio, which is what I am setting right now. That's okay because everything is visible, so that's not an issue. We have caught the glide slope, and as you see, the aircraft has begun its descent. We're going to go ahead and slow down to 131 knots and deploy flaps 30, which is going to be the flap setting that we are landing with. So we are good. We're 1300 above. If you were to do auto land on category 3, all you would do at this point is just arm that second autopilot and do nothing. That's really boring. So I'm going to go ahead and hand fly it. We're going to set our throttle to, you can see the blue, this needs to match because I'm about to disable the auto throttle and disconnect the autopilot. Thank you. We are now fully in control, and we're going to continue our descent. Watch our speed. We are getting some bumps. But overall, things are progressing fairly okay. We're right on the glide slope, pretty much. 400. 300. Approaching minimums. 133 knots. Our speed is okay. And we can go ahead and kill the throttle now. Fair. I'm going to go ahead and deploy speed brakes. Are off. We had them armed on approach, and we are down. So let's do flaps up. Gonna go and kill our strobe lights. Switch our transponder from TARA to transponder. We're gonna go ahead and get the APU started. Alright. Auto brakes can be disarmed. So everything is in neutral now. We have the speed brake is in neutral, flaps are up, auto brake is disarmed. We can get rid of the terrain radar and traffic. At this point, flight director can go off too. Don't need it anymore. And we're going to go ahead and exit the runway over here to the right. So as you see, it's pretty smooth and not really that bad. It can be a lot of stuff happening at the same time, but if you do this a few times with practice, it's definitely it becomes kind of a common sense ordeal. Taxi to gates. Which are all the way there. Alright. So this is just basically a matter of practice. Key takeaways. If you would like to operate this realistically, and there's a setting for it within the PMDG configuration, your approach modes, the first thing that you need to arm is that VOR localizer capture. You will not be able to activate approach mode and try to activate that capture of a glide slope until you have locked onto the localizer. So the most important thing is visualize where that runway is. Remember that dotted line? Make sure that you are on the intercept course to intercept that localizer, which usually means less than 30 degrees for the intercept. But I mean, it will catch it at more. It's just not ideal, which is why ATC kind of vectors you under that angle and not perpendicular like we were initially approaching it. So that was a good call on their part. You have a very good reference by visualizing that dotted line and the orientation of your runway so that you can intercept it. So activate the VOR localizer capture. Once that's captured, activate the approach mode. Make sure that you are below the glide slope, which is determined by that diamond. You can see it. If that diamond is below the center, you're above the glide slope and you're not going to catch on to it. So that diamond should be above the center line and moving down. Make sure that you are shooting for VREF plus 5 on approach speed. Upon landing, make sure to activate the APU and start the APU, because once we get to the gate, we are going to go ahead and turn off the engines. Therefore, the electrical power that the engines were supplying is no longer going to be available. So we need an alternate source of power. You're going to switch the aircraft back to APU or ground power. If you have that available right away, you don't have to start APU, but in any case, APU should be started by now, so it's just a matter of switching the electrical bus to APU power before we shut off the engines. Remember that. And landing lights can go off. We just have the taxi lights on now while we're getting to the gates. And that's the gist of landing and ILS capture. For Autoland, like I said, if it's a Cat 3 Autoland, all you really need to do is simply activate the second autopilot once you have captured that glide slope, and the aircraft is going to do the remainder. Autoland works beautifully on the PMDG aircraft. I have done it many times, but of course it's more fun to hand fly the landings, and in the real world that's what happens, you know, 99% of the time. You're going to hand fly it. You're not going to use Autoland for it. A321 on a taxiway, okay. Oh, hi. Excellent. Alright. Get out of here. So once we get to the gate, I'm going to walk you through the shutdown procedure, which is very simple. This is not a small airport. Those of you who are watching in the Microsoft Flight Simulator land, this should give you additional appreciation for how good MSFS is in terms of its default airports and scenery, because the majority of the default airports in Prepared look like this. However, I'm not getting into any kind of simulator wars. Every simulator has its strong points and weak points. As you saw just now, Prepared is way stronger in ATC and its ability to vector you and assign sensible altitudes for you to descend to. They are much less likely to fly you into a mountain. The MSFS is much more prone to that. It can happen in Prepared. I've seen it happen, but much less likely to happen in Prepared than in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The ATC just seems to be way smarter here. I don't know why, but that's the way it works right now. From up above, especially if you have Orbix scenery, Prepared looks really good. But down here on the ground, yeah, it's definitely very last gen looking. This is the longest, most irritating taxi ever. I wouldn't mind this as much if I didn't have a video that I'm recording right now. This is not when you want to have excessively long taxiing with not much happening. but I do want to show you how to shut everything down. Getting close to 30 knots. Slow it down a little bit. Alright, looks like we're finally here. Jeez. And let's slow it way down. And get it to the gate. Parking brake. I also really appreciate that on the left bottom it shows you when parking brake is enabled, because Microsoft Flight Simulator does not do that, and sometimes I'm wondering if my parking brake is on or if it's off. Let's get rid of the ATC window. Alright. Overhead panel. Lower panel. We're going to go ahead and switch to APU from generator bus. Now we will shut down the engines. Boom and boom. Transponder can go completely off and bye-bye. Unlock the flight deck doors. Right, we have killed off everything on the autopilot panel here, the MCP. Everything is good here. So now all that's remaining is just to shut everything down. Assuming this aircraft is staying here at the gate overnight, nothing is happening, I'm going to turn off probes and window heat. Turn off the packs. Seatbelt signs can go off. Our strobe light is off and anti-collision off. Taxi lights can come off. All of this stuff can go away. The galley power is off. Engines can go in the off position here, right? And at this point we can shut down APU. Automatically, the first thing that happens is okay, by the way, the IRS can go off in the off position too. First thing that happened is the emergency lights kicked on. We're going to go ahead and shut down the battery, and the emergency lights are the last thing to go off. We are now cold and dark. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see more content, more tutorials, product reviews, previews, things like that, please support this channel. Go ahead and subscribe and like this video. Let me know in the comments below if you're looking for anything specific in terms of content. If you have any questions about this video, any kind of requests for what you want to see, let me know. Let me know what's useful to you. Let me know what's helpful. Again, thank you so much for watching. and have a great day. This is PMDG 737-700 in prepared version 5.3. Thank you very much. Good night.